Power does not lie in how hard you hit or how loud you shout. True power lies in how cleanly, how directly, and how effortlessly you deliver your intention. It is not force that wins, it is precision. The difference between a wild swing and a focused strike is not strength, but clarity. Most people believe domination requires tension. They think effort means clenching the jaw, tensing the shoulders, digging in with all they've got. But that is a misunderstanding. When you are trying too hard, you lose timing. You become slow, reactive, and predictable. Real power comes when you're free from strain. The body is relaxed, the mind is sharp, and the action is simple. One strike, clean, one movement, direct. No wasted motion, no hesitation. You must train yourself to be efficient, not excessive. Just like a blade cuts best, not when it is swung with rage, but when it is guided with focus. The more effort you add unnecessarily, the more you dilute your impact. When you are overly tense, you interfere with your own speed and natural intelligence. You miss the opening. You stumble over your own force. But when you stay present, calm, and exact, every movement carries intention. Your energy lands where it's meant to, not where your ego wants it to. This is why I say, don't rely on muscle. Rely on awareness. Power is not about looking strong. It is about you being aligned. Physically, mentally, emotionally. You move when it is time to move, not a moment sooner, not a moment late. And when you do, the effect is unstoppable, not because it is forced, but because it is right. Timing is everything. Even a small movement, done at the right moment, can break through chaos and end the conflict. So do not focus on trying to be powerful. Focus on removing what makes you weak, your tension, your hesitation, your noise. In stillness, you become fast. In relaxation, you become explosive. When your intention is pure and uncluttered, your action becomes undeniable. There is no need to struggle. There is no need to shout. When your presence is precise, everything around you adjusts. Dominate not by overpowering, but by being so aligned that resistance collapses on contact. There is a reason I always speak of water. It has no shape of its own, yet it shapes everything it touches. It doesn't resist, it adapts. It doesn't fight, it flows. And in that flow, it finds its strength. Most people think power means confrontation, pushing back, standing firm, never yielding. But the truth is, when you resist too hard, you become rigid. And what is rigid can be broken. The tree that refuses to bend in the wind is the one that snaps. But the grass, soft and low, bends with the storm and rises again. You must learn to flow around obstacles, not fight them head on. When an opponent presents strength, don't collide with it. Move with it, turn it, guide it, redirect it. That is the way of those who understand real dominance. You don't need to meet pressure with pressure. You meet it with awareness. You adjust, you shift. And in doing so, you create openings where others only see blocks. Adaptability is the highest form of intelligence. When your mind is flexible, you become untouchable because you're never where the enemy expects you to be. This doesn't mean you are passive. It means you're smart, strategic. You see the truth of the moment, and you become what that moment demands. If it asks for stillness, you are still. If it asks for speed, you are fast. If it asks for silence, you don't speak. This is not weakness. This is control. And in that control lies the power to dominate without unnecessary struggle. When you let go of the idea that you must win by force, you begin to see another way. You win by dissolving conflict before it explodes. You win by understanding the flow so deeply that you are always one step ahead, not by pushing harder, but by moving smarter. The one who flows is the one who survives, and the one who survives long enough always finds the perfect moment to strike. Don't hold too tightly to one form, one strategy, one identity. Be willing to change, to evolve, to shift your stance and your mindset in an instant. That is how water moves. It never argues with the rock, it moves around it. And eventually, it wears it down without a single act of violence. Let your energy be formless. Let your mind be free. In this way, you will flow through life and conflict with a grace that is stronger than resistance. When you are truly powerful, you have nothing to prove. The need to prove yourself is a sign that you doubt yourself, that inner noise, the hunger to be seen, to be praised, to be validated. It only distracts you from your real strength. The loudest person in the room is rarely the one in control. Control is quiet. Real presence doesn't need decoration. It's simply eages. And when it's there, everyone feels it. You see, when your actions come from a place of trying to impress, you are no longer connected to the moment. You are acting from ego. And ego wants to dominate through show. But dominance born from ego is fragile. It depends on reaction. It needs applause. It's always looking outward. That's not power. That's performance. And performance tires you, because you are constantly seeking something that never satisfies. But when you strip that away, when you no longer care about who's watching, who's judging, or who's clapping, you become dangerous in the purest sense. Because now your energy is clean. Now your movement is for the moment, not the mirror. You don't waste your strikes trying to look strong. You place them where they count. You don't need approval to act. You acture. Because it is right, because it is necessary, because it is true. That's the strength of stillness. When you are no longer driven by the need to prove, your mind becomes lighter. You become more efficient, more adaptable. You hear more. You feel more. You see openings others miss because they're too busy being seen. You walk into a room and speak only when it matters. You engage only when required. And when you do, your presence carries weight, because it's not looking for attention. It commands it without asking. People will try to pull you into their noise, into comparison, into competition, into the circus of approval and doubt. Let them. That is their path. Yours is different. When you stop fighting for attention, attention finds you. When you stop forcing outcomes, results unfold on their own. You don't need to wear your strength like armor. You are the blade beneath the silence. Detach from the need to convince others of your worth. Live in such a way that your actions reveal it naturally. Let your calm speak louder than their chaos. Let your restraint speak louder than their shouting. Because the one who moves in silence, with precision, with purpose, is the one who leaves the deepest mark. The path to effortless power is not about adding more. It's about taking away. Too many people are chasing strength by stacking techniques, piling on strategies, filling their minds with noise. But power is not in complexity. It is in clarity. When your movements are filled with excess, they become slow. When your mind is filled with too many thoughts, it becomes scattered. True mastery begins when you start removing what you don't need. Physically, mentally, emotionally. In every motion, ask yourself, what is unnecessary here? What can I release, tighten, refine, simplify? This applies beyond movement. In your thoughts, remove doubt. In your emotions, remove fear. In your speech, remove fluff. Say only what matters. Move only when needed. Think only what aligns. When you live like this, everything becomes sharper. You become faster, more precise, more alive. It is not the man with the most tools who wins. It's the one who uses the few he has with absolute mastery. So stop chasing more, strip it down, simplify. The more clutter you carry, the more you weigh yourself down. Let go of the idea that doing more makes you better. Doing less, with more awareness, is the way to mastery. It's the still hand that strikes fastest, not the one that flails. This applies to your identity as well. You are not your achievements, your possessions, or your titles. You are what remains when all of that is gone. That is your real strength. The less you depend on outer things to feel strong, the more unshakable you become. Simplify who you think you are. Remove the masks. Remove the need to appear impressive. Stand as you are, empty of pretense, full of presence. When you clear away the excess, your energy becomes concentrated. You become direct, focused. You don't need to overwhelm. You just need to land where it matters, like a drop of water falling on stone for years. It doesn't shout, but it shapes. like a blade that cuts because it is sharp, not because it is large. Efficiency is elegance. Simplicity is strength. So ask yourself constantly, what can I remove? What weight am I carrying that doesn't serve me? What effort am I making that isn't necessary? The answer to power is not found in more effort, more motion, more noise. It is found in removing what is false, so only the true remains. Empty your cup again and again until only precision flows. The more you chase something, the more it escapes you. This is a truth many refuse to accept. They run after success, respect, recognition, always reaching, always striving, always hungry. But chasing is a sign that you do not yet believe you are it. The moment you believe it, the moment you embody it, there is no longer anything to chase. You are no longer a seeker. You become the source. That is the essence of effortless power. Not in wanting, not in hoping, but in being. When you are trying to succeed, you are outside of success. When you become success in how you think, how you speak, how you carry yourself, then you stop waiting for the world to grant you permission. You move through life with the quiet authority of someone who knows. And those who know do not need to explain. People confuse movement with progress. They chase more, do more, try harder, thinking effort alone will earn them their worth. But energy spent without alignment is just noise, like someone flailing in the water instead of swimming with the current. They burn out, not because they lack strength, but because they lack direction. To become the result means to build yourself so completely in the image of your vision that the outside world begins to reflect it without force. You train not to impress, but to refine. You speak not to convince, but to express truth. You act not for approval, but because it is your nature. There is no tension in that, no grasping, no desperation, just flow, just presence. The world responds not to the one who tries the hardest, but to the one who is the most aligned. There are people who walk into a room and everyone senses something, not because they're loud, not because they're dressed to be noticed, but because their energy is centered, calm, and grounded. They are not trying to be anything. They already are. And so stop chasing power, stop chasing validation. Instead, build yourself, master your habits, discipline your mind, sharpen your awareness. When you carry the energy of mastery within you, you attract without asking, you lead without demanding, you win without forcing, because you are no longer trying to reach the mountain, you airish the mountain. To truly dominate without struggle, you must stop proving, stop chasing, stop performing, be still, be precise, be real. Then what you once chased will begin to chase you. Effortless power doesn't rise from chaos. It grows from stillness, in the space between movements, between breaths, between thoughts. That's where your real strength begins. The world teaches you to react, to rush, to always be doing something. But the more you are pulled by urgency, the more you lose your center. And without center, you are just noise. Fast but scattered, loud but unstable. Stillness is not weakness. It is not inaction. It is the foundation from which all true action arises. Stillness is awareness sharpened to its finest edge. It's the calm before the strike, the pause before the leap. The ones who dominate effortlessly are not those who are always busy. They are the ones who can wait, observe, and respond with precision. When the mind is calm, it sees clearly. You are not caught in emotion. You are not lost in overthinking. You act not out of fear or ego, but from clarity. That is why stillness is so powerful. It separates what is necessary from what is noise. In that space, your decisions become clean. Your movements become intentional. You don't need to rush because you're already aligned with the right moment. You must learn to be still even in the middle of motion. The world will try to provoke you. It will throw chaos in your path, people in your way, distractions in your mind. But if you hold your inner silence, if you stay grounded, you cannot be shaken. Others will exhaust themselves trying to predict you, control you, overpower you. But you will simply remain, watching, waiting, and when the time comes, you move once, That one move will be enough. It's not about being emotionless. It's about not being ruled by emotion. Anger, fear, pride, they pull you out of yourself. They make you predictable. Stillness allows you to feel without losing control. You can be fully alive, fully present, and yet unmoved by chaos. That is the mark of someone who has mastered their energy. When you build stillness inside, you conserve your strength. You stop fighting battles that don't matter. You stop reacting to every push and pull. And what happens? You become faster without rushing. You become powerful without shouting. You become unshakable without effort. This is the kind of power that doesn't fade. It doesn't burn out because it isn't built on tension. It's built on balance. A still mind creates decisive action. A calm heart creates unshakable focus. From that place, you do not need to prove, to chase, or to force. You simply act, and your actions carry weight. You cannot dominate the outer world if you are still losing the war within. Every move you make, every word you speak, every thought you allow to grow, it all comes from the state of your inner world. If you are filled with doubt, fear, confusion, or the need to be accepted, that will show in everything you do. You may be fast, but you will hesitate. You may be strong, but you will break under pressure, because the real battle is not with others. It is with your own mind. When you wake up in the morning and your first thoughts are worry, stress, or comparison, you are already behind. Before the day even begins, you've given your power away. That is why your first training ground must always be inside yourself. Train your thoughts like you train your body. Discipline your emotions like you would your strikes. Controlled, precise, and only released when necessary. To win the inner war, you have to confront what you usually avoid. You must face your insecurities, your impatience, your ego, all the hidden forces that sabotage you from within. Most people avoid this because it's uncomfortable. They'd rather perform on the outside than face what's broken inside. But that's not mastery, that's escape. And no matter how far you run, your shadow follows you. You have to sit in your silence and hear what your mind is really saying. You have to become intimate with your patterns, your triggers, your emotional habits, your mental shortcuts. Because only when you see clearly can you choose differently. That is self-control. That is freedom. And freedom is where power begins. Not the kind that flexes or shouts, but the kind that remains calm under pressure. The kind that doesn't need to react because it already sees the full picture. That kind of strength cannot be taken from you. It can only be built by you. When you tame the chaos within, the chaos outside loses its grip. People may try to provoke you, challenge you, misjudge you, but none of it will land. Why? Because your identity is no longer tied to their words. You don't need to win arguments. You don't need to prove your worth. You've already won where it matters most, inside. Mastery is not about never feeling fear, anger, or pain. It's about not letting those things drive your decisions. You feel them, but you don't become them. You experience them, but you don't obey them. That separation is where your power lives. That gap between emotion and reaction, that's your territory. That's where you take control. When you finally conquer yourself, there is nothing left to fear. And when there is nothing to fear, there is nothing that can stop you. Most people try too hard. They force their way through life, through situations, through people. They think more effort equals more success. But what they don't see is that in all that forcing, they lose flow. They become tight, reactive, full of tension. And when you're tight, you're slower. When you're desperate, you're blind. When you're pushing too hard, you miss the natural rhythm of things. You try to control everything, but you end up controlling nothing. To win without trying too hard means to trust your preparation, to trust your instinct, and to trust the moment. It means you've trained enough, you've faced enough, and now you no longer need to prove it. You simply allow the power within you to express itself when the time is right. You stop grabbing at things and start allowing them to unfold. You let go of the obsession with outcomes and return to the present, fully awake, fully aware. In that state, your actions become clean, sharp, effective. Not because you're pushing, but because you're aligned. Look at the ocean. It doesn't strain to be powerful. It moves with the tide, yet nothing can resist it. That's what it means to win without effort. It's not lazy. It's not passive. It's the result of inner harmony. When your thoughts, your breath, your movement, and your intention all point in the same direction, you don't need to fight. You flow. And in that flow, you dominate without resistance. Most failures don't happen because of a lack of strength. They happen because of too much interference, too much thinking, too much doubting, too much chasing. But when the mind is clear and the body is relaxed, even a small gesture carries tremendous impact because it comes from a place of inner stillness, not panic. You've probably experienced moments like that when everything just worked, when you weren't trying but you were doing. That's not an accident. That's your natural state, free from pressure. The harder you try to win, the more you get in your own way. The less you try, the more you trust. And in that trust, you move smarter, speak wiser, react faster. You don't fight the current. You move with it and you use it. That's how true power works. It does not announce itself. It does not need to struggle. It appears where it's needed and disappears when the work is done. So let go of the urge to overreach. Let go of the fear that if you're not pushing, you're falling behind. That's an illusion. When you stop trying so hard to win, you start becoming the kind of person who cannot lose.